We're going to start a little two-parter, I think. Maybe three. I'm going to guess two.
Somalis again?
No, not Somalis. Not this time.
Welcome to Nice Ashes. Join hosts Mike and Nate for cigars and culture. Let's go beyond the smoke.
Fuck.
What are we smoking, Mike?
We are smoking the Tatiana Fusion Frenzy.
Yeah, the Tatiana doesn't want to get out of this wrapper frenzy.
No, I like broke the tip already trying to get
I
this
actually
darn
cut
thing
it
out of
with
there.
my box cutter, and I'm trying to, of course, I like to take the pictures for the Instagram, which everybody tells me is beautiful, the most beautiful pictures they've ever seen on Instagram. Beautiful. And, of course, the band came right off in the fucking wrapper there.
Sure. I'm just trying to get this thing to slide out without me breaking this stupid thing. This is the first one we've had this issue with.
I've never had this issue. This is 5 years of doing a dedicated cigar podcast and the countless other cigars beyond that, and I've never had an issue getting it out of the actual wrapper. Never.
I have to say this
happened.
is a first for me. My wrapper is now at the other end of my cigar.
Yeah,
It
mine
slid down.
Yep.
I'm getting some tearage. Hold on. Now I got to pop
Yeah,
this
it
darn.
is a pain in the ass.
I have been smoking cigars officially for 20 years, and this is the first time that
This is
this
a
has ever
first.
happened. Not that that is an excuse or anything.
The Fusion Frenzy. It fuses to the plastic wrapper. I'm pairing mine with a Sierra Nevada Springfest IPA.
Oh, interesting. I am pairing mine with Glenlivet 12-year and some water.
All right.
I'm going to cut the end of this, but
I know.
mine's
I was just
starting
looking
to
at the end.
unwrap
It's like
on both ends.
mine's
So
unwrapping too. It's a pain in the ass.
I can't tell you what the smell is. Fusion Frenzy.
It's some kind
That's
of
all
like
I can
fruit
tell you.
punch. It tastes like maybe kind of. I don't know.
Always interesting, these Tatianas.
Well, especially when they have the non-descriptive names. Let's light it up. It's sweet. I mean, it's sweet and fruity.
Lots of tobacco in my mouth right now.
And it's par for the course with the Tatianas.
More than normal because the outside edge is starting to break apart too.
Yep. Well, yeah, this one's
The
going to
wrapper,
be a little...
the cap.
A little
the non-existent
extra.
cap.
Yeah, so the Fusion Frenzy is supposed to be an enticing flavor of sweet exotic fruit, Madagascar vanilla, and bourbon, creating a taste that is smooth and mellow. Well, I don't know about all that.
It's pleasant. I mean, it's pleasant enough.
It's not unpleasant. I guess as far as the flavors go, so far this one seems to be better, and we're only a puff or two in. Better than the cinnamon.
Yeah. I still haven't stopped taking tobacco out of my mouth.
Well, stop putting it in there, Mike. Just kidding. I actually have less tobacco in my mouth on this one than I've had with any other Tatiana, so far.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, what are we talking about, Mike?
Well, we're going to start a little two-parter, I think. Maybe three. I'm going to guess two.
Somalis again?
No, not Somalis. Not this time. I think that went off in the general news, so we beat him to the story.
Yeah. Breaking news here on Nice Ashes.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to talk about fire and its uses in terrorism and in fraud and maybe some international warfare and, general disarray.
Well, you know what the inventor of the flamethrower said, Mike, don't you?
What's that?
You can't enforce the Geneva Convention when you're on fire.
Very true.
That was a joke. I don't know if he said that.
I have no idea. I'm sure it is.
It was meant as a joke. Sorry.
Meant
Sorry,
as a
everybody.
joke.
Yeah.
Sorry to all the people who were offended.
Yes. Or have been on the
Sorry.
wrong end of a flamethrower, I guess.
Yeah. So I sent Nate these documents, so I don't know if he's got them open. I was hoping that he did.
I
There's
do.
going to be a bit of back and forth. I created, for the listener, to be viewed at your pleasure, a 60-page, I believe, document. How many pages is this bad boy?
Well, I've got the 18-page open, but the 60-page one is the one you want.
No, I want you to have the 18-page one.
I understand that. The listeners have access to the 60-pager.
Yes, they should have access to both, but...
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, but I took this big document, and it's massive, and I've read through about half of it word for word. The other half, I've been busy. My wife had foot surgery, so it hasn't been the top of my list to read this document. So I had
That's
it
fair.
generate a synopsis for us. And I want to go through this synopsis. There are a few points that I would like to cover, of course. Now my stupid computer, I can't get it to pop up with my taskbar so that I can get to my document. Nate, isn't that
Hit the
wonderful?
Windows key.
It's on my old Mac, so it's kind of like breaking down. You know how that goes.
Okay.
Anyway,
I thought you had a brand new laptop just for the show, Mike.
I do, but the show is brought up on that, and if I get off of it, it won't record anymore.
Oh, I see.
Mm-hmm. So now we've
been talking about doing some second monitors, so we might have to do that, Mike. The little portable monitors. They're only about $40, so.
Yeah, that's not too bad. This is more crap I have to store at my house. That's mostly what I'm against. I'm mostly against
the show, Mike. You have 5 humidors full of show cigars, plus another 4 of personal cigars. What's one tiny little portable screen? It's more like a tablet.
That would turn into 2 portable screens, and that would turn into... I already have a backpack full of sound recording equipment for just in case I have a guest.
Yeah, well, I've got a laptop bag full of microphones and my audio interface and XLR cables, and
I realize that.
It's good to be prepared, Mike.
I'm getting moved out of my own bedroom closet space with all this stuff that I'm accumulating for this show. I already got a room devoted to bowling balls. I can't.
Yeah.
Take up
well,
any
maybe
more
we'll
space.
have to do we'll have to get a dedicated space eventually, Mike, and we can just meet up there and do that.
Yeah. Well, when the whatever pays enough, that'll be the plan.
Well, all the prices are coming down on everything, Mike.
Yeah. Prices are going down.
Real good.
Yeah, I don't know where the war in Iran is, where you're at right now, listener, but right now we don't have troops on the ground, and the price of oil has doubled in 3 days. So we'll see where you're at then.
Yeah.
Just think about it. It's really great. So we're going to go into this. We're going to start with Greece. We're going to go down to the Russia-Europe situation, and we can go through the rest. The key here is when we get into this, the detail. Greece has a lot of interesting details that reflect on everything else, and so does Russia. As we go down this list, the number one here, Greece, has the most evidence, and as we go down, the lower the number, the less evidence there is to support the information state. It's not so much that they didn't happen. These are all real events and fires. But there's less information about what occurred, so we're getting higher and higher degrees of speculation about how these mass fires started.
Sure.
Next, of course, is the ranking basis, and there's an overall timeline right here. So we're going to start with Greece. Greece has a historic issue with fires. There is a very good reason for this. The Greek government has created a known fire mechanism that has been exploited throughout the years. It is a 6-step process. We're going to go over the process and explain why the fires in Greece keep on happening and why it is such a big problem for them. I was not 100% aware that Greece had a major fire, fraud, arson scenario going on.
Yeah,
were you aware of this before? I didn't really have an idea
I guess,
either.
To be honest, I've never really thought about fires in other countries outside of the United States and Canada, because usually over the summers, we get smoke from Canadian fires where we're at in Minnesota here. But I guess I've never really thought about fires in other countries. They're not something that are typically top of mind in our news cycle here in the United States anyway.
The fires don't typically make our news unless it affects some machination of the United States government. We may hear about a forest fire in Australia or some other English-speaking country.
Sure, yeah.
But if the local inhabitants do not speak English, we are probably not going to get news coverage on it.
Yeah, and if we don't have one of our leaders visiting that country, we're not really talking about whatever's going on there fire-wise.
Yeah. If we start hearing things, it's because our government's targeting them and trying to exploit them somehow. Not because...
Yeah, or the president had to postpone his trip because of a forest fire situation or something.
Yes. It's centered around our own internal politics.
Yeah.
Greece. So Greece has this 6-part pipeline, as it's called, which has been acknowledged by the government and by the World Wildlife Federation. So we got step 1, legal protection in place. The Greek constitution prohibits construction on forest land. Forest land has extremely high protections and low development value. It is functionally useless land for economic purposes. Step 2, fire destroys the forest, which destroys the classification. Forest lands that are burned down are no longer legally considered forest.
Okay. That seems
So
like
it
a
can
huge,
be-
huge, huge loophole.
That is a pretty huge loophole. It gets better. It gets better.
Oh, I'm sure it does. But I mean, whoever wrote this, like, that seems like a big loophole. As big as a loophole as modern movie plots. Carry on, Mike.
Yes. Apparently, reclassification is a slow process, and challenging it is even slower, and cases are rare.
Okay.
So step 3, the land can be reclassified as either agricultural or non-forest. If it's agricultural, obviously it becomes farmland. If it's non-forest, it can be developed. Step
Okay.
number 4, fourth factor really, the conviction rate is 2.6%. And the long-term document has the real data numbers, and we can get into that because it's pretty shocking, the percentages of people that even get arrested. But the conviction rate's 2.6%. So worst case scenario, you get a patsy, they do some time. The key is that for the developers, the rich tycoon types, there is zero risk for them starting a fire. Or
Okay.
having organized crime start a fire for them, which is
Sure.
most likely what's happening.
Yeah.
In coastal tourist zones, wind farms, suburban residential development, and tourist areas are all being developed on former forest land.
Okay.
These are the main economic drivers of their construction industry and energy industry, of course. So there's major economic incentive for the government to turn a blind eye.
Yep.
This has developed the last step, the step 6 of political protection, and us Americans would know nothing about this. The Greek construction industry has lobbied their government with the major political parties. And this lobbying has got laws that favor them enacted. They do not have a complete forest registry. They do not have a national parks board like we have in this country to protect the lands. So they can kind of just slowly burn down the forest and develop it as they need to.
Sure.
We have some key actors here. These are the names of some of the individuals involved with the big fires.
Is this with setting them, preventing them, fighting them, or covering them up?
A little bit of everything.
Okay.
So we can go down to the timeline. The 2007 fire is a real turner. We have a big fire in 1980. Nobody was ever arrested or nobody was ever arrested and put in jail or anything
Sure.
like that. The statute of limitations have been reached. And the case has now been abandoned as of 23. They had a 43-year statute of limitations or something.
Oh, okay.
And it's never been found out. In 2007, they had a fire. And this 07 fire is very interesting. This is where that 2.6% arson conviction rate comes from.
Okay.
It killed 84 people, and they had a bunch of convictions.
Okay.
So these 07 convictions, we're just going to name some of them. Sophia Nokalapulu had a suspended 10-year sentence given. They were convicted of arson, and they were a developer that profiteered off of it.
Okay.
They had a mayor that helped start fires that was given a suspended 10-year sentence.
Sure. Sure.
They had... Let's see here. I'm going to go back to my other document, Nate.
Yeah.
Just for
Well, so
some
I'm
flavor
reading
here.
here on kind of the abridged or summarization of the facts of this, and it says multiple simultaneous ignition points confirmed. So that right there screams arson, because
Yes.
you're not even with a wildfire, lightning strikes, fires can start independently and join up and things, but if you have multiple simultaneous ignition points, that's not a natural occurrence, generally speaking.
No, the Greek fires, it's crazy how bad these are. I'm trying to find my section here. Google the show, except I'm searching my own document, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, Mike got lost in his facts and details. You get too many, and it's too difficult to navigate sometimes. Without,
Yeah, that's
like we
true.
were talking about, the multiple screens, Mike, I'm thinking you need at least 5, 6, maybe.
Possibly. I know for this one,
Possibly.
I could use at least 3, which is more than I use for work.
Yeah.
And here we are. Doo-doo.
So does Greece have any actual protected forest land?
That I cannot say.
Okay.
So, okay, it's 2007, the Peloponnese wildfire. We developed the pattern. This is the big pattern. 84 people died. This is 1% of the entire land mass of Greece burned in this fire, which is Pretty shocking.
Yeah, it's a large chunk.
The August 2007 fire remains Greece's most lethal wildfire. Investigators confirmed multiple simultaneous ignition points inconsistent with random accidental cause. No group was ever convicted of deliberate arson. Greek government reports after 2007 explicitly acknowledged land clearing for development as a reoccurring motive for arson in Greece. This is the most direct official acknowledgement of the incentive structure.
Yeah.
Statistical record. This is where this happens. So in 2023, authorities arrested 79 people suspecting of starting wildfires for speculative purposes. Of 19,712 arson prosecutions reviewed, only 564 produced convictions. So Greece, this little tiny place, had 19,712 arson prosecutions, which is pretty crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, that is crazy. I have a question, Mike, and I don't know if you have come across this answer in your research.
Yes.
So these developers want to develop things, tourist attractions or what have you, money generating things on this land. These lands are forest land that's owned by, what, the Greek government?
Yes. I'm guessing it's either private individuals or the Greek government. I do not believe their law makes it
distinguishes. So they just say, gee, I'd like to build a hotel, casino, whatever, here. And it's a forest, so they just burn it down. And then do they automatically get the land, or they have to buy the land, or what has to happen then? They petition the government.
It goes into zoning.
Okay.
It goes into zoning. It can get rezoned, and when it gets rezoned, it can be sold or purchased, depending on the owner of the land.
Sure, and I imagine if it's a private owner and it was forest and it gets burned down, they're probably getting some other pressure applied to them elsewhere, basically, right? Like it's not just, well, now I've got potentially agricultural land I could do, or I could plant the forest back again, or whatever. They're probably getting talked to by the developers or the developers' associates about how selling might be in their best interest, I suppose, right?
Yes. And we're going to get into this, the 2021 Evia and Attica fires. This occurred next to an Air Force base, and I believe that the Air Force base was partially damaged.
Okay.
But investigators found stoves and mirrors implanted in the forest that caused the fire.
Okay.
That was a massive boon for investors.
Sure.
And that's the pattern. We're going to move on to the 23 fire because I have that up, and this is kind of where we're at as far as Greece being a source of problems.
Yeah.
So in 2023, the Rhodes fire was started, and this spread into other European countries, and it was the largest fire in the EU. There were 79 arrests. 42 were determined to be deliberate arsonists in this one fire.
Okay.
37 were deemed negligent somehow. So
we've got 80 people that are doing this. Well, I guess 79, but
79.
Like
potentially. Yes.
This is just of them that they could arrest.
Yes. And of course, their government blamed it on illegal migrants. Not organized crime or this documented pattern that's been established in Greece. They found that approximately 42 were deliberately lit, and then the rest were negligent.
Yeah.
Despite their arrest record, right?
Yeah.
And 20 people died, unfortunately. 18 migrants and two Greeks. I didn't know that Greece had a problem. I didn't know Greece had a problem. And then in 24, goes into this other section. A 66-year-old sociology professor lit 4 fires to try to light his suburb on fire. Always good stuff. I love it. So in this thing, we have the benefits and losers. Obviously, we have some people that died. They lost. Real estate developers and renewable energy developers are making bank. The coastal resorts are being built on this land that was burned to the ground. There is major economic boom.
A lot of money moving through because of this stuff.
A lot of money being moved because of this. Both political parties that rule the country, or 2 at least of the major political parties that rule the country, have well-documented ties to the construction industry. They hide the amount of money that has been donated. Let's put it that way. There's no public record of how much it is, so we know what that means, right? We know what that means. Their banking sector is heavily tied in with funding all of this. They happen to be tied in with the WEF. Shocking, I know.
Yeah.
And the Greeks are blaming the Turks of starting fires. They are blaming far-right activists for starting fires. There's zero evidence that anything is going on other than real estate corruption.
Sure. That is wild.
Yes. This second one actually threw me off a little more. This is the one that really threw me off.
Okay.
I had never heard of this.
Yeah. Do you want to do a cigar check, Mike? Where are you at?
Yeah. We can do a
How
cigar
about
check. I am only
halfway, I think?
3/4. Oh, you are
Sure.
halfway. See, I'm not nearly that far.
Yeah. Well, you've been doing more of the talking, and that's on par with usually how it goes.
Absolutely.
But this one seems to be keeping its flavor.
I have no complaints.
It's not quite as sweet as it was at the very, very beginning, but the flavor seems to be holding, and it's fine. It's fruity-ish, kind of, but
sweet, fruity, flavored cigar. I'm not sure I like the fruity flavored tobaccos. But
yeah, and we were talking about this a couple episodes ago, but I guess like I'd almost rather smoke the groovy blue because that's like a very consistent. This one it was talking about, it had like the Mediterranean fruit and vanilla and bourbon, and I think it's almost too much flavors going on. They're not very complimentary in my opinion, but it's staying steady.
I don't catch any bourbon in it. I'd get the fruit though, and the vanilla. It's just kind of very sweet and fruity-ish, and nothing wrong with it. It's very
nothing
sweet.
Wrong with it.
I
It's
can imagine
consistent
people liking it.
and solid, like it's not changed flavor. It's not really, the cinnamon was cinnamon for the first couple of puffs and then it went to bland. This hasn't gone bland. So
Absolutely.
as far as the Tatianas go, I think it's pretty good. All right. The second one that threw you off, Mike.
Second one threw me off. I had not heard about this, at least not to my remembrance, hearing anything about this.
Sure.
But the accusation, and the documents are legitimate. We're going to go through the list, and we can go, we'll go through the list. It's more important that we have the numbers than anything on this one.
Yeah.
But according to the EU and the United States governments, Russia in 24, maybe going back into 23 and part of 25,
Sure.
was actively doing an arson campaign across Europe. And they were using their intelligence services to recruit mainly young Ukrainian men to go and start fires at infrastructure and other places that of notice, let's say, right?
Sure.
Not necessarily forest fires, but big industrial fires, big commercial fires, things that people are going to notice happened. And the interesting part to me, reading through the documents, was the the governments of the European Union and the United States explained how this network worked. And they have pinpointed individuals who are known operatives of the Russians and where they're even located in some instances. And they've arrested some people.
Okay.
And the Russians' defense was not so much that they weren't doing it, but that certain of the attacks were false flags and that the United States and the European Union were doing it to the people as well.
Well, as surprising as that may be, it's not really that surprising because if it's one thing we've learned through history is if the Russians are doing it, the Americans are going to be doing it too.
Absolutely. And I believe both sides in this.
Oh, yeah.
It makes sense. And number one, it makes sense for Russia to use their intelligence service to manipulate young teenage boys, basically. Young teenagers, 17, 16, 15, young men.
Yeah.
And get them to go commit acts of terrorism. Makes sense.
Yep.
They're in a war against the Ukraine, so it makes even more sense to get Ukrainians to do it, especially if they're Ukrainians of Russian birth by origin, because they are radicalized. Whether it's true or not, there seems to be a lot of evidence that the Ukrainian government's trying to ethnically cleanse the Russian-held areas of Ukraine. So
but
it doesn't matter if it's
nice
true.
Guy, Mike.
Oh, yeah, Zelensky's so great, and so is our governments, right? They're totally believable when they deny the claims that they're ethnically cleansing, right? They're so believable.
Well, yeah, and I think the problem with Russia-Ukraine is, I don't know if the most corrupt government on the planet is Russia, but it's there somewhere. And then like one step less corrupt, but almost as corrupt, is Ukraine. So it's kind of like...
I would argue the reverse, that Ukraine is the most corrupt government in Europe.
Well, this was the last time I checked, and this was, at the start of the Russia-Ukraine war, and it's like, oh, hey, two of the most corrupt governments are fighting. Whose side are we on? I don't know.
Yes, two of the most corrupt governments in the world are fighting. One is backed by the other really well-known corrupt governments, and the other is also backed by the other well-known corrupt governments. And then they're documenting how they're we're still buying Russian oil in the United States. We're just paying a tax to India first, like we're just fucking ourselves. And we bombed the Nord Stream pipeline most likely, and all these things, right? Like, it's a war, and it's being fought by bad actors. Yeah. Like it's got it the way it is,
Yeah.
So we have a ton of places: London, Lithuania, Poland, Birmingham, Leipzig, Ludetz, Lithuania, multiple locations through the mail, Germany, Latvia, Warsaw. These places that are infrastructure. So Warsaw was rail, Latvia was logistics, military bases in Germany. IKEA. Apparently they tried to blow up a fucking IKEA. Twice.
Sure.
They blew up a couple of DHL warehouses and hubs. A department store. Like these places, every one of them has convictions or trials pending.
Yeah.
And they're all going to go to jail. All these people that are like the low-level types are all going to go to jail for sure.
Yeah.
All of them are going to go to jail. Apparently, the 24 campaign was stopped because Joe Biden called Russia an ass nicely. That's what our claim is, at least.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Anyway, the most interesting thing about all this is I really pay attention to the news.
Yeah.
And I've never heard of this.
So here's a question then for you, Mike, is how did you become aware of this?
That's going to come up in a later section. I became aware of this because of that wonderful stat that I sent my email with.
Sure.
But the reason why I became aware of these international fire, this became a research project by accident.
Yeah.
Because I asked a very specific question and the AI bot denied me the answer. So I had to start rephrasing. It would not answer the question the way I asked it because of concerns for a certain foreign government. And I will let everybody guess the government that we were talking about and the AI's concerns for its welfare. Again, foreign government. Hint, hint.
Yeah. Has nothing to do with our BDS law episode. Wink, wink.
Nothing. There are no coincidences. That is all I will say. There are no coincidences. I got started on this. I started researching fires, and I ended up generating a 70-page monster document. It took me multiple days to get together. And then I started reading it, and I started noticing some patterns. I started asking some more questions, right? You know how these things go. One thing leads to the other.
Yeah, until you start noticing too much, and then you start getting asked to stop noticing, Mike.
Well, be a Benjamin, not a boxer, everybody. That's just how...
Well, I knew Mike was working on something big because I kept asking him to come get drunk with me, and he was like, I can't, I'm busy. I got too much to do. So
I've been a busy boy.
He's been a busy boy.
Yeah, so we're going to go back. These are things that we all know about, these next two. Americans, at least. For you foreigners there who are listening, this will be new information for you. Our number 3...
You Greeks that are listeing.
Yeah, you Greeks. You Greeks and Russian agents that are plotting revenge now.
Are we going to talk about, was it Whoopi Goldberg and The Rock?
Oh, and Lahaina? We can talk about anything you want, Nate. I'm not talking about cultural events. I'm talking about the facts in these things. I treated the U.S. the same as everybody else.
But
we
I'll let you do your thing, and then we'll talk about those two briefly because I feel they benefited.
And Oprah.
Oprah. It was Oprah. I don't think it was. I don't think it was the other one.
Whoopi Goldberg was involved as well. She's such a great classic comedian actress
Leech?
from the 90s.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
That's the term we're using.
And she's like such a psycho now. I don't know what happened to her. Anyway.
Yeah, well, and who knows if she was or wasn't a psycho back in the 90s. I mean, she put out some great films.
I loved her on Star Trek. And
she was great in Star Trek. She was great in Ghost, Sister Act. I mean, these are some classic movies. But the 90s were a little different because you were just kind of getting into the hyper magazine stuff, right? Like the teen and the whatever, that wrote about young famous people. And I mean, Jimmy Stewart, they had a whole publicity team for him because all these actors had to be seen as manly and had different things and whatever. But I mean, really getting into people's personal lives that wasn't overly produced or kind of fake. You didn't, and Whoopi wasn't really kind of the demographic that those magazines would be super interested in. I don't think. So I don't know. I mean, I'm just trying to say we don't know what she was like as far as I know. Back in the 90s, we didn't have the internet. So it wasn't really... Guess what Whoopi did today?
Right. It's the social media. It's not good for us.
Yeah, I mean, not to derail our arson.
Right. Yeah. Not to. Well, it's related. It's related. This is kind of the fun section.
Yeah,
We're going to get into the darker, more.
Yeah.
And if we have to turn this into 2, I'm fine with that. Like whatever.
It might have to be 2, but
it might have to be 2 because we do have, I think, 9 fires total or 10 on this one.
Okay, sure.
If it turns into 2, I want to get to the fires in Chile and Argentina. That's how I got started on this.
Okay.
So anyway, we're going to talk about Malay in a further episode anyway, so we could probably push that off into that. But one way or the other, we're going to talk about Lahaina, everybody.
Yep.
In 23, Lahaina was lit on fire. Famously, the average house price in Lahaina was over $1 million. They had more Native Hawaiians than anywhere else in the island chain. Very unique place, lots of locals. There was known fire risk. Lots of internal communication about it was well documented. We had a fire. Power lines in the wind possibly broke. It happens all the time in the United States. Our infrastructure is crumbling. We don't take care of basic things like that. Nobody wants to admit that we need training programs to get more linemen and wiremen up and possibly increase wages for those type of jobs to get intelligent people to do them.
Well, AI will do it, Mike.
Yeah, the AI will go up there and fix those high power lines in the wind. That's what they'll do. Yeah.
Says all the CEOs, right?
Yeah, say all the CEOs, these fucking cocksuckers. They're going to displace people and then steal their land is what they're going to do. So,
and then get Oprah and Dwayne Johnson to come out and say why it's good.
Oh, yeah. And we're going to get into that. So the immediate aftermath, we had 102 deaths. We had 2,200 structures burned to the ground. 80+% of the historical areas of the island were burned. Governor Green criminalized unsolicited offers because so many people were getting inundated with offers for their homes. Mm-hmm. People were cut off from outside resources. There were some accusations of forced starvation, that sort of thing. You know how these things go.
Well, I see BlackRock's involved, so they're always really good.
BlackRock is coming.
Good actors, right?
You're right. Vacant land sales increased 12-fold. And the majority of the buyers were from the mainland. A significant number from Texas and Oklahoma City.
Sure.
So
gotta get your yeehaw on.
FEMA distributed some money. I looked at the hard numbers. It is next to nothing. We're talking 730 some residents got reimbursed $5 million or some fucking low number like that. If you think about what your 738 residents, families, let's say, got reimbursed money and it totaled $5 million. That is not a lot of money. I mean, it's
slightly
person.
Better than those class action lawsuits where you get 26 cents back in the mail, right?
Right. Yeah, it's kind of that deal. Our federal government's pathetic. We're spending. There was some estimate. It was like $60 billion a day in Iran right now in the first week. Just bombing the shit out of them. And we have reports that we don't have any bases left that can rearm the ships. So the Iranian missiles apparently just wiped out our military base system's abilities to, 1, defend itself, and 2, fulfill their purpose. So in 1 week, the U.S. government's whole reason for charging us $36 trillion is defeated? That seems pretty crazy.
We're the best, though. We're number 1, Mike.
Yeah, we're number 1. We're the best. We're awesome.
We don't realize that maintenance is a thing, I guess, or something.
Oh,
training.
God.
I mean, I don't know what and this isn't meant to be an episode on military base upkeep or defense, but I mean, obviously we're not doing something. We're either not training people to defend the bases, or we're not maintaining the bases, or like, what's the point in having the bases if the base can't do the stuff the base is supposed to do? Like, that's why you have a base.
That's why you have a base. I know that I've seen some videos from Iran, and it does appear that we are carpet bombing their cities in residential areas.
Yeah, I heard we took out like a school or something, so...
Yeah, it's more than just that. From the video I saw, it looked like they bombed 10 city blocks, big city blocks, major city blocks, like high-rise blocks, not town blocks. And the Iranian government claims that their bases and stuff are all underground because they focused on missiles. They don't have... They have the U.S. is bragging they took out all of their ships. They only had 30. They never put money into ships. They put their money into missiles. Missiles that They just blew up Benjamin Netanyahu's house. His brother's dead. They killed his, they're blowing stuff up. So we'll see. There's 90 million people there. And they're an ancient civilization with money. It's not Afghanistan. So
well, on one hand, thank God it's not Afghanistan.
Well,
I don't think anyone's ever fucking won there. But
they lost 1 million people to chemical weapons provided to Iraq by the United States in a war. They are willing to lose people.
Yeah.
And their government's not going to fall. So it's anyway, we're not going to try to get derailed into that.
No, yeah. I don't know what that has to do with Hawaii, but we got there somehow, and you're listening still.
We got there somehow. They did have a settlement in 24. A bunch of companies got sued for taking advantage of the fire and being pieces of shit. So the Hawaiian Electrical Company was owned by BlackRock and Vanguard, and the Hawaiian Electrical Company is the one who allowed the fire to occur in the first place through lack of maintenance.
Yeah.
BlackRock owned the electrical company and then tried to buy up all the land that their electrical company just burned to the ground.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's that classic insurance scam thing with fires, isn't it, Mike?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure I've told you, and I've probably mentioned it on the show before, but my grandfather was a firefighter and was fire chief for a long time, and then went and started his own fire investigation business. So he'd go to court and give his professional opinion on what caused fires. He'd go in and photograph and take documentation and figure out where the fire started. He wrote college textbooks on the subject, and he told me at one point that a majority of the restaurant fires, restaurants that burn down, and they burn down a lot, that's usually arson. Somebody's stealing money from the restaurant, burns it down to cover their tracks, or they burn it down because they're not a profitable restaurant and they want the insurance money to get out. And it sounds like what BlackRock's doing. They burn down this large swath of Hawaii, collect the insurance money, because they've got insurance. Being a owner or shareholder of the electric company, they get that insurance money to buy that land back, and it's now cheaper because it's been burned to fuck. And all they want to do is build more shit and get more money.
It's a cycle.
Yeah.
With Lahaina specifically, the power company was owned by BlackRock, and the water company, many people ended up resigning from the public water works.
Sure.
But they had a fire suppression system that would have worked. And despite the fact that they had internal documents claiming that they were very concerned, it was not pressurized at the time of the fire and therefore did not put the fire out.
Okay.
Which is why they lost their lawsuit, because they kind of let the island burn on fire on purpose.
Yeah.
I mean, you could argue it's on purpose. They had a fire suppression system that was not on purpose, was not operating. What else do you call that?
Yeah. Planned negligence or something, right?
Something like that. In a large enough scale, you don't need intention. You just need enough incompetence to build on itself.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. So, fire victims were famously exploited. As far as I'm aware, they are not recovered by any stretch of the imagination. Doesn't make the news anymore. We don't care.
Not. Yeah. Well, you've got about, a week, 2 weeks if it's something crazy. Luckily, the Epstein files have kind of stayed on the forefront until the Iran thing. So, everything's
still on the thing, man.
Very, very fickle, the news cycle.
Yeah. The Epstein files won't go away because everybody knows it's true. In your heart, you know what they're saying is true.
Everybody knows it's true.
Everybody knows. And their denial, putting Bill Clinton on the stand to deny his only helps.
Because we trust him.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like he was disbarred for 5
perjured
years
himself.
He perjured himself
before. He'll do it again. It's fine.
Yeah, for something much.
It could have been
less.
his redemption story. You know what I mean? Like, he could have taken everybody out with him. Like, he's old as fuck. Everybody's old as fuck. Come on. But I see you have here Oprah Winfrey, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, and Bill Gates. Of course, Bill would be there.
Yeah. Well, these were the famous landholders that tried to raise money from the public to pay for their mansions to be rebuilt.
Yeah. Well, and so, conspiracy content. I mean, they were tapped and they might have, not Bill Gates, because fuck that guy, and Jeff, and Mark, honestly, and Oprah, I guess, at this point. But the point is that, they tried to put out this super tone-deaf video, and I saw it with Oprah and Dwayne Johnson, talking about, we need donations to rebuild this land, and I don't really know who was behind the video or whatever, but it just was very tone-deaf because of these people's wealth.
Yeah. You get these billionaires who are trying to raise how much ever, let's say $5 billion.
It wasn't even that much money they were trying to raise.
No, it was enough to where Oprah could have just
She could have just wrote the check. They all could have just wrote the check.
Yeah. It was not. It was pathetic. Very disturbing. Very disturbing.
Yeah.
Shows you where we're at in the pecking order and how much all that.
It's not very high. We're, a couple steps away from becoming Soylent Green ourselves. So
We're not far behind. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm a lot closer to a homeless guy than I am to any elected official.
Yeah.
Any elected official, let alone some billionaire.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on to number 4, the Los Angeles Palisade Fire. Still ongoing, I think.
Okay.
The litigation for that in 25. As we know, 23, 24, the insurance companies mass canceled thousands of California policies. They were aware of the extreme fire danger, and they limited their liability. January 25, Palisades and Eaton fire happens. 31 people die, 16,000 structures, $52 billion. We just spent that in like a day in Iran. That's not that much.
Yeah, it can't be.
Fire calls multiple ignition points. Investigation is still ongoing.
Okay, so we've got the multiple ignition points like grease that we know is fucking arson.
Yeah, it appears. If you have multiple ignition points, it appears to be arson, I would say. I didn't even know that. First time I read about the Palisade Fire, I didn't even bother reading the stuff because it's been in the news.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, I read a really interesting book about I think it was the Cambridge, Minnesota fire back in the 1800s. And there was a similar fire depicted in the movie, the Joel Edgerton movie, the recent one. I don't know. It was okay, but basically with the Cambridge fire, there were three or four forest fires. It was very dry. It was logging, right? So you have all that the stuff that they don't use, the branches, just sits there, dries out, becomes flammable. And they had 3 or 4 fires that started in this storm. It was super dry conditions. And they were used to fires, but what happened was these fires, with the wind, they all went and merged together to become one super fire inferno thing with like it had a huge, I don't know the technical terms, and I don't remember, but a huge like updraft that was hotter than anything, I guess. Not anything, but, incredibly hot. And so it kind of like fed itself. So you could say that was kind of like multiple ignition points, but it was really these fires started and merged together. So if you have one fire that didn't start out of multiple separate fires, and you're saying you have multiple ignition points, it's got to be arson. Otherwise, it would be, fire A joined fire B and became fire C, which was massive. But you can't say fire A had multiple ignition points. That's fucking arson.
It's almost as if the business elite and the government elite are conspiring to do to our cities what Greece is doing to their forest, without concern for the people that live there, because they don't matter.
Why would they concern themselves with the
Why
masses?
would they concern themselves with the cattle that live there?
The Soylent Green that lives there. Why would they care?
Why would they care? According to this spreadsheet I got here, somewhere between 40 and 60% of the land burned down in that fire was purchased by institutional investors, a.k.a. the elite business class that gives unlimited amounts of money to elected officials. This says that a few landlords were caught displacing tenants. The government claims they were overcharging the legal limits by $7 million collectively a month.
Classic.
In 25, the government of California passed a law giving themselves and nonprofits the first right of refusal when they create fire zones. So the nonprofits, like the NFL was a couple years ago, Turning Point USA, the Republican and Democratic Party, all these charities that are really for-profit institutions, they don't have to move. And the government doesn't have to move.
Yep.
The peasants, they have to move.
The taxpayers have to move.
The taxpayers have to move. Not the nonprofits that pay no taxes.
Yeah.
Via scam, like churches.
Yes.
The Catholic Church can make their pedophile ring there still again.
Yep.
But you are not allowed to live there. They also, I saw this one, this SB 549. The government was going to invest $101 million and turn like this town into a resort, basically, a government-built resort, and just knock down steal the neighborhood. They were going to use eminent domain to take it over and turn it into like a boardwalk shopping plaza resort area.
And everybody loves those.
Everybody loves those. And right now we have a shift bill which was going to ban institutional investors from buying homes.
Yeah, let me
in
guess
disaster
how
areas.
successful that was.
It
being passed.
failed. Blackstone.
Classic. Blackstone's
the largest real estate investor in the world. They're also big-time supporters of Donald Trump. Gave him $25 million.
Yeah.
And the CEO is a board member of the WEF.
There you go.
According to this, 40 to 44% of purchases in the fire zone was made by Blackstone.
Not surprising.
Not surprising. So Blackstone, they were kind of at fault, and they paid a fine in Maui.
Okay.
But they still bought a bunch of land,
Oh, yeah.
right? They still...
Well, I'm sure the fine was more a slap on the wrist than it was anything else. I mean, this is
$2 billion is nothing when you're talking about property losses in LA of $52 billion. They lost $52 billion, but they're going to buy the land at a reduced price and then sell it for who knows how many hundreds of billions. It's prime real estate in Los Angeles.
Well, yeah.
And
they've
all
got
the-
all that other real estate, so it's just a...
Right, yeah. They're
blip
growing
on
real
the
estate on
radar or
trees there in
whatever, yeah.
California. They're not running out of room or anything. In the nice areas, I mean, it's a fucking desert right in the southern part.
Yeah. Well, even if they're running out of room, it only increases the holdings they already have, the value. So they're in a win-win.
It's a win-win no matter how you want to look at it. My cigar went out. I'm not sure if I want to relight it.
I put
suppose
my
I should.
cigar
I got
out
like a
because
quarter.
I only had an inch left. So
I have more than that. I'll relight here.
okay.
We are relit. It is gross a little. That's okay. We have a few conspiracy theories. People were claiming some energy weapons were going on. There's some claims that SB 549 was written before. Now, the AI sparked this as a conspiracy,
Sure.
but it's only a conspiracy because the bill wasn't written. The plan was written. They've shown
Okay.
that. I saw the report. The plan of the takeover was already in place. Most of these are. These big corporations, they game-eyes everything.
Oh, yeah.
There is some accusations that the insurance companies might have been involved. Who knows? Who knows? And of course, we know for a fact that people were being exploited
Yep.
by the institutions that are supposed to protect us.
This says here that it was a lot of, well, some of this was lower income black neighborhoods.
Some of it was. Some
Or
of it was
something.
very wealthy neighborhoods. That's one of the reasons why it's made
Yeah.
the news so much is that there's a woman running for California that her house was burned down, and she's a
Sure.
billionaire type.
Yep.
But it mostly affected poor neighborhoods. It's a perfect solution. The fire,
Yep.
from what I understand, the fire pushed through and it hit all these low slum areas, and the higher areas were largely protected. And then a
Yep.
few of these super billionaire rich guys, they had their own water systems installed, and those private water systems protected them,
Yep.
which is why you see like the burned out hills and then the mansions are still there.
Yeah.
The rich people just kind of got rid of all the poors.
Yeah,
in
they
one
just
fell
turn their
swoop.
sprinklers on, and it costs them a couple $1 million, but they do it, and suddenly there's more people like them that are there.
Yeah, all of a sudden it's like, oh, I mean, I don't own BlackRock directly, but my stock is doing great.
Yes.
And all these poors are gone. I'm not ending my cigar, but I don't want to move on to number 5 because the Argentina, Patagonia holding Joe Louis Donald Trump corruption machine is
I think that's a
involved.
great teaser for part 2 of the fire fraud.
I agree. This cigar is
Series.
starting to fall apart in my mouth with about an inch left. It's been
Yep.
falling apart.
Yeah.
I think it's because I ripped the tip trying to get this damn thing out of the cellophane.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, this was weird. It was very difficult to get out of the packaging. I gave this one a 1.75 because I liked it better than some of the other Tatianas we've smoked, but I don't think I liked it as much as the Groovy Blue, even though like I gave the Groovy Blue a 2, so it's not like I loved the Groovy Blue, but
What did I give the Groovy Blue?
you gave the Groovy Blue a 2 as well. And
this
I gave the honey a 1, and you gave the honey a 1.5, and the cinnamon we both gave a 1.5. So I feel like I'd
Yeah.
rather smoke this one over the cinnamon, but not over the Groovy Blue.
I agree. This is not as good as the Groovy Blue. Possibly my experience wasn't the best because of
It
how
could be.
the cellophane came off, but I
Yeah.
don't think it's as good as the Groovy Blue.
No.
And
I don't think so
It's
either.
not. I don't know about these Tatiana. Some of them I was really hoping, but it's just it's not my thing.
They're definitely not up to the level of the CAO flavors even the flavors we didn't like, I feel like the CAOs were better constructed.
I agree.
At the
They're
very
real cigar.
least. Yeah.
They're a real cigar. They're not this pipe filler cased thing.
Yeah, these are really just about the flavor and probably the cheapest tobacco they can put in there.
They'd be better if they put a wood tip on them.
Honestly, they really
would be better if they put a wood tip on them.
They really would. It'd probably make them pretty expensive compared to what they are now. But
I think they kind of are expensive.
Okay.
If you go to the tobacco store and into the humidor and you see them, they are shockingly expensive for how.
Yeah. Well, what I think I bought when we had Bert or not? No, that was I'm sorry, that was a different cigar. But we had, I think Jordan smoked one of the Tatianas with us, the vanilla, and I think I had to go and buy one, and it was, I don't know, $5 or $6, maybe $8. I don't know, but I got that New World cigar that we smoked that we loved for $5 in the cigar shop in Chicago. So. Yeah, they're not. I mean, these should be like 75 cents is what they should be.
$2. $2. I could see $2 unless you buy a 5-pack. Then they're $6. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not great. These are. I haven't had a backwoods in a long time, but they remind me of that shittiness.
They really do.
Backwoods, you know.
Yeah, they're almost as spongy as a backwoods, or like, you know, soft and malleable. I don't know.
Yeah, they're as spongy as plug tobacco. It's wild. Yeah. It's like soft, like Red Man type of stuff. I'm not into it. We're gonna smoke them all. I think we only have a couple left. But
you know what? The best part about doing these Tatiana episodes is my little Tatiana specific humidor gets emptier and emptier every time.
The best part to me is I can put them wherever because they taste so strong it doesn't really matter. And also they instantly clear. Like right now I have no taste of cigar in my mouth at all.
Yep.
They don't stick around.
They really don't.
They don't. And that's not a bad thing. That's I'm praising it. It does not stay in your mouth and make your next cigar taste bad.
Yes.
So I'll give them that.
Yes, indeed. Well, we'll look forward to part 2 of the forest fires, or not necessarily forest fires, but just fires and fraud. And if there's multiple points of ignition, it's not natural causes.
You said it, I did it. You said it, I did it.
Oh, yeah. Well, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next week.
Be safe. Have fun.